It is hard to imagine what's your facial expression right now. It's difficult to feel connected when you are not in the sanctuary worshiping together as we usually do, or rather as we used to do. But I do believe that God's Spirit is uniting us, though we are separated by the current order and the current pandemic. I hope that you stay healthy. I hope that you stay connected to God and to your close ones. And I pray that God would protect you and that we would be able to go through this quarantine and emerge a healthier and happier church community, and also more knowledgeable about the truths that God already revealed to us through His holy word, the Bible. Today we will continue to read God's story. We will be reading Genesis chapter 29 and 30, and the title of my sermon is God's Story, Jacob's Retribution. This story begins in chapter 27. The scene is set up there. The roots go there. And then there are fruits in chapter 29. Let's consider the reasons, the causes, and then the outcomes, the effects. Genesis 27, verses 1 through 4. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." And he answered, "Here I am." He said, "Behold, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now then, take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me, and prepare me delicious food such as I love, and bring it to me so that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die." That's the beginning of the story. We have an old man, old patriarch, Isaac, who wants to bless his oldest son, Esau. But there is a problem. He is virtually blind. There is an eyesight. There is a vision problem. So he is not able to process reality around him in an adequate manner. And to bless his son, he wants to have a feast. He says, "Prepare me that delicious food that I love." And later we will find out that to satisfy that request, his wife Rebecca would cook 2 good young goats for one person, and then some bread, and then there is some wine, so we have a feast. An old man wants to have a feast, and he wants to bless his older son. The Bible further says, Genesis 27, verses 5 through 10. Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to his son Esau. So when Esau went to the field to hunt for game and bring it, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "I heard your father speak to your brother Esau. Bring me game and prepare for me delicious food, that I may eat it and bless you before the Lord before I die. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice as I command you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 good young goats, so that I may prepare from them delicious food for your father, such as he loves. And you shall bring it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before he dies. We can immediately picture Rebecca as being a mother of a strong will and strong character. She has dominance over her son. She wants to control the situation with this blessing. Mother's imperiousness is demonstrated in the following words: "Obey my voice as I command you," she says to Jacob. Now, what do you think Jacob's age was at that time when mother is making him do things? In the previous chapter, chapter 26, verses 34 and 35, we read, when Esau was 40 years old, he took Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, to be his wife, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they made life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. Now we remember that Esau and Jacob were twins. They were born basically at the same time, but Esau was a couple of minutes earlier. And mother wants the younger son to receive the blessing. But back to the question of Jacob's age. Since Esau was 40 years old when he got married and took two wives, therefore Jacob was also 40 years old plus some, because verse 35 says that these women, they made life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. So some time has elapsed since the marriage, and now Jacob was more than 40 years old. Just imagine a 40 years old son hearing this command from his mother. Obviously, she was a dominant figure. She wanted her son, to just simply obey her commands. But when we go deeper into biblical chronology, we could pinpoint Jacob's age even more precisely. Let's look at the screen. Jacob was 130 years old when he came to Egypt. That's mentioned in Genesis 47, verses 8 and 9. Joseph was 38 at that time. We know that because the Bible says that Joseph was 30 years when he stood before the Pharaoh, Genesis 41, 46. Then there were 7 years of good harvest, Genesis 41, verses 47 and 48, followed by 2 years of famine, Genesis 45, 6, before Jacob came to Egypt. So when the family reunited, it was 30 plus 7 plus 2. Joseph was 39 years old when Jacob came to Egypt. Therefore, 130 minus 39 equals 91. We learn from the Bible that Joseph was born when Jacob was already 91 years old. Going further, Joseph was born when 14 years of Jacob's service ended. We read this in Genesis chapter 30, verses 25 and 26, and also Genesis 31, 41. When the 2 cycles of serving, each one 7 years in length, ended, that was the time when Joseph was born. Therefore, we could take out 14 years from 91, which comes to 77. 77 years. That's the age of Jacob when he fled his house and went to live with Laban, his uncle. 77 years of age, therefore, is the age of Jacob when his mother told him, "Go and do what I command you." Definitely, she was a very dominant figure. Therefore, when we are looking at uh, the paintings that are representing Jacob at that age, for example, this one by William Dyce, The Meeting of Jacob and Rachel, which was painted in 1853. Most of the paintings tend to present Jacob as a young, youthful man, where in case he was 77 years old at that time. But we also need to remember that his total lifespan was 147. So being 77 makes you a middle-aged person. It was approximately the middle of his life. So that's his age. Let's read further. Genesis 27, verses 11 through 13. But Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, "Behold, my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I'm a smooth man. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be mocking him, and bring a curse upon myself, and not a blessing." His mother said to him, "Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice and go bring them to me." It is very important to note that both Rebekah and Jacob fully understand what is it in essence, what they are trying to do. This is a deceit. This is a lie. This is a fraud. And a curse would follow. But Rebekah wants to assume the risks and want to become the one receiving the curse just so that her son gets the blessing. And this is important to note because there is a difference between a sin of ignorance and a willful, planned action that bears much more guilt and much more responsibility. Now, let's go on reading Genesis 27, verses 14 through 17. So he went and took them and brought them to his mother, and his mother prepared delicious food such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best garments of Esau, her older son, which were with her in the house, and put them on Jacob, his younger son. And the skins of the young goats she put on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. And she put the delicious food and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. To accomplish this fraud, the younger would impersonate the older. He would switch places with his brother and accomplish the deceit. Let's summarize. We have father's vision problem, we have mother's dominance, we have a feast, we have a deceit where the younger one pretends to be the older one. We have the older and the younger switch places. And as the result, taking advantage of the vision problem, the youngest got what he and his mother wanted through deception. This is a prologue. This is a story that is an outset. This is a setup for what's to follow in chapter 29. Let's read verses 15 through 19. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are my kinsman, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance. Jacob loved Rachel, and he said, "I will serve you 7 years for the younger daughter Rachel." Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than I should give her to any other man. Stay with me." Immediately, we see a number of parallels between this story and the one that we just read. First of all, there are 2 daughters, as there are 2 sons. Therefore, there is an older one and there is a younger one in both cases. Thirdly, Leah's eyes were weak, as father's eyesight was poor. Verses 20 through 22, same chapter 29. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, that I may go in to her, for my time is completed." So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. Can you try to picture this wedding in your mind? You have been to different weddings, I'm sure, and all of them are different, but there are still common elements, regardless of the culture. So we could safely assume that the main elements of the wedding ceremony that was initially instituted in the Garden of Eden were present there. Whom are you envisioning right now as going down the aisle? Is it Leah or Rachel? Who goes down the aisle? Rachel, obviously, because the people of the place received an invitation to participate in the joyous occasion of joining Jacob and Rachel together. And because Jacob says nothing to protest, obviously nothing suspicious is happening. The second question is, who is blessed as a wife for Jacob? From the previous story, how Isaac got married, we know that relatives, the father specifically, and others would bless his daughter to become a wife to such and such person. And that was the same at the very beginning. When God created Adam and Eve, he blessed them. So the question is, who was blessed to become a wife for Jacob? Rachel, obviously. The next question, who was sitting next to him at the wedding feast? Rachel, obviously. So the expectation was that she would become his wife as was promised. Everything was going according to the plan, seemingly. And here's another parallel. There is a feast. The same way Isaac requested food to enjoy before blessing his son, we have a description of feast in chapter 29 of Genesis. Let's read further, verses 23 and 25, Genesis chapter 29. But in the evening, he, that is Laban the father, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob and he went in to her. And in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me?" We have a number of parallels to chapter 27 in this passage as well. First of all, this is a fact of deception. Jacob was deceived as his brother and his father were deceived by him. Then another parallel is that the oldest and youngest were swapped. Another one, it happened under the cover of darkness, when you cannot see the same way as there was darkness in the eyes of Isaac, because he could not see who was before him when he pronounced the blessing on the wrong son that he had not intended to. And then another parallel, this is the fact that Laban, a parent, was also a very dominant figure. He arranged for everything, and his daughter Leah simply obeyed. Laban brought her the same way as Rebekah, Laban's sister, was a dominant figure and executed lordship over her son Jacob. There is an interesting phenomenon related here. And it is the fact that a deceiver is indignant when he is deceived. When Jacob was deceived, he immediately starts asking questions. He asks 3 questions, verse 27. "What is this you have done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me?" It is interesting to note that a sinner, the one who commits a sin against his or her neighbor, doesn't like a sin being committed against him. A thief doesn't want anything stolen from him. A person who doesn't pay well his employees doesn't want to be paid inadequately himself. He wants justice in regards to himself. The nature of sin is that when people do it to others, they could oftentimes justify that in their mind. But when the sin is committed against them, they immediately feel outraged, as was Jacob. Verses 26 and 27 in the same chapter, Genesis 29. Laban said, "It is not so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other also in return for serving me another 7 years." We see more parallels here. The terms that Laban is choosing when answering Jacob's indignation are very interesting. He says, "It is not done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn." This is exactly what Jacob wanted and tried to accomplish with his brother Esau. He, the youngest, wanted to receive the blessing the father intended for the oldest. But Laban says, in our country, we don't do that. Another parallel is that Jacob fulfilled and completed all the conditions set by Laban He was to work for 7 years. He did that. But though accomplishing and fulfilling all the conditions, he did not receive what was promised or anticipated. The same way as Esau did exactly what his father Isaac asked. He went out to hunt. He prepared food. He brought it to his father, but did not receive the blessing that he anticipated. So here are the main factors of this story. We have father's dominance, as we have mother's dominance in the case of Jacob. We have a deception. The younger is replaced by the older. The terms of the contract are violated. As a result, taking advantage of the darkness, the father cunningly fixes both of his daughters with marriage and provides himself with income for another 7 years. And Jacob gets what he himself did to his brother and father. Here is Jacob's retribution. Today's sermon is titled God's Story, Jacob's Retribution. Different genres of scripture have different rules of interpretation. And sometimes a story is not always accompanied by the evaluation of the story. It is not always the case that the writer says this was evil in God's eyes or this was pleasing to God. Therefore, sometimes it is difficult to know which way to take the story. Is it an example to follow? Or is this a warning and an example not to follow? But the Bible, when telling us stories, usually gives us enough hints so that by comparing, by thinking, by analyzing, we could see the results. Yes, the Bible doesn't say that Jacob lied. Yes, the Bible doesn't say that he committed a fraud, but we could readily glean it from the passage itself. Even more important, the Bible shows what are the results, what are the consequences of committing a sin. This story definitely is painting a picture of very serious consequences of evil actions against other people. But there are statements, there are clear warnings in the Bible that relate to this issue that we are studying today. Let's read a couple of statements. First one is from the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 26, verse 27. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will come back on him who starts it rolling. There are two images here. Digging a pit, trying to cover it, creating a trap for someone. The Bible says, if you do that, you will fall into this very pit yourself. The other image is rolling the stone up the hill. It will definitely come down and will hit you. Let's take a look at another passage, Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. There is another image, a seed will produce a fruit in accordance to the genetic information in the seed. So whatever you sow, exactly that you will have at the end as an outcome. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. Today's story is a chance for us to pause and to ask a question. How do I relate to other people? Are there any bad seeds that I have sown in my life? Maybe something that I'm experiencing right now is a fruit, is a consequence of what I did to others in the past. When Jesus was teaching in his famous Sermon on the Mount, which is written in the Gospel of Matthew, he pronounced a very important principle. Matthew 7:12. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. If you want people to be kind to you, be kind to them. You want respect, be respectful to others. You don't want other people to steal from you, don't steal from others. You want to be treated fairly, treat others in a fair manner. So whatever you wish that others will do to you, do also to them. And then a very important phrase, for this is the law and the prophets. We have been reading from the law, the Pentateuch, the Torah, first 5 books of the Bible. And this is what it teaches. If you want good in your life, do good. But know that if you do bad, it will follow you. If we were to end this study right now, we would not do justice to the overall message of the Bible. Are we trying to say, would it be correct to conclude that if you did anything bad in your life, you will experience bad till you live? Is there a hope for those who did commit unjust actions against neighbors, people around? Is there hope for those who have done evil and harmed others? Is it possible to free oneself from the consequences of one's sin? Is a sinner forever doomed to eat the fruits of his deeds? The biblical answer is no. There is hope. A person could actually change the course of his or her life, and he could break out this bad circle. The person can overcome the curse inflicted upon himself. How to do that? By God's grace, we will find out next time, in 1 week, when by God's grace we will gather again and continue studying and listening to God's story. We will see how Jacob was able to overcome the consequences of the sins committed and how he received blessing. Make sure to be with us next week, next Saturday at 11:30 a.m. May God bless you.